Hello and welcome to another DJ Kippax interviews episode where I interview interested and talented DJs, musicians and other creative people, and we get to know the people behind the name. Today I'm talking to a local and worldwide phenomenon, Turntablist and scratchy DJ Rasp, and he's been kind enough to give me an interview after I bumped into him at the Golden Lion in Tomidon the other month. Great venue, innit, that? It's real little Eddie Gen, innit? I've been to some good nights there. That was the first one since after COVID, though. I went to quite a lot before that. Rasp started DJing back in '96. He's a man who's not afraid to put the effort in. It concluded in winning multiple scratching championship titles and DJing all over the world. He has won 8 British DJ Turntablist titles, including the prestigious DMC UK champion and IDA champion honours. And you were Red Bull 3-star UK finalist, weren't you, as well?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you've won a lot of stuff. He's also endorsed by some of the biggest DJ manufacturers out there, including Vestax, Rain, Numark, DJ'd with multiple bands. I hope I get some of the pronunciations right on these. The Shakati, did I pronounce that? Shakati, yeah. I knew that.
Shakti, yeah.
The rest of them I'm not so bad with. The Elementals, the Punning Clan, Random Era, Incredible 11, Symphonic Orchestra, and Soul of Hip Hop Collective. Also put on his own events, including Scratch and Sprit, freestyle hip hop event, Slice and Dice, a Turntablist event, Scratch Jam Manchester. Is that still running?
I've not done one for a while.
Have you not? And you also ran the IDA UK final in 2018.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And regular DJ for a lot of breakdancing jams around the UK. He DJs and scratches for a bunch of rappers, including Mac of All Trades, Philly Wiz, Ash the Gent, Tony Bro, Dave the Rough, Jam Bomb, Benediction, Osh here. Have I pronounced that right?
O'Shea.
I'm trying my best. He's a producer and his releases on Pyro Goblin, Soul Power Militia, Cycle of Hope on vinyl, Hadouken Breaks. Yeah, so quite a list of achievements there, isn't there, bud?
I've been around.
Yeah. And lastly, he's a regular tutor on Digital DJ Tips website and a DJ instructor for the School of Electronic Music in Manchester. So thank you, mate, and thanks for sitting down to do this interview.
Thanks for having us, mate. It's an honour to be part of it.
No, thank you. Pleasure's all mine. So, start at the beginning. What decks did you start with? Like, what were your very first?
The first turntables, I can't even remember the name of them. They were belt drive. And I got them like out the back of a magazine. You know what I mean? So there was an advert in a magazine. It was either Mixed Mag or Hip Hop Connection or something like that. And it was just like pack. I think I got them from Hard to Find Records or somewhere like that, where they send you the package. So you got in the package, you got 2 turntables, 2 belt drive turntables, a mixer, slip mats, Stanton 500 AL cartridges.
The famous Stantons.
And some massive, headphones, to go with it. And they were awful. You'd open the door of my room and the needle would skip everywhere. You know what I mean? So I had them. That was the first thing. And that's all I could afford at the time. I was 18, working in warehouses, all that type of thing. So I saved up and got some. And, I'm glad I learned some of them, though.
Yeah.
Because I developed, a good touch with the record and a good relationship with the vinyl, you know what I mean? And when I finally got some Technics, I was like, wow, these don't jump. These are
I know that feeling.
You know what I mean? So I got them. I can't remember the make of them. The mixer actually didn't have a crossfader. It just had upfaders and it had line switches on it, you know what I mean? So there was no crossfader involved. And then I sold them to a friend of mine and I bought some SoundLab turntables off my friend called Crow. And because he just recently upgraded to some Technics, you know what I mean? He was DJing a little bit longer than me. And I got these sound labs. They were still belt drive. And he sold me a mixer. I think it was a Gemini mixer. And that actually had a crossfader. And they didn't jump as much, but they still jumped. But, there was a little bit better, you know what I mean? And then maybe a year later, I got one Technics deck, saved up a whole load of money at the time. And I went to Richer Sounds in Stockport. My mum and dad gave me a lift, actually, which was very kind of him. And I bought this one Technics turntable. So I still had the other decks. I sold the, belt drives. So we had one Technics and one belt drive, you know what I mean? And, it took me a whole nother year to get another Technics. And I saw one in Cash Converters. I was on my way to work and I walked past Cash Converters and there was a Technics 1210 in the window. And I was like, right, went straight into the Cash Converters and I said, listen, mate, can I buy that? I don't have the money right now. I've got a tenner on me. I get paid at the end of the month. If I give you that tenner, will you put that aside for us? It was £129, you know what I mean? So it was an absolute bargain. And the only thing that was wrong with it was, the tone arm holder, the little plastic bit what sticks the tone arm down, that was snapped. So it was in perfect working order. And the guy was like, yeah, go on, I'll stick them away. He said, if you come back in a month, you can have them, for 100 and whatever, £19 it would have been. And that month couldn't quick enough, you know what I mean? It took ages. It felt like a lifetime. And then I remember coming back the month after, with my wage slip and, taking home on the bus, just absolutely chuffed. I've actually got 2 Technics turntables now. I was over the moon, and I still have both of them decks today.
Yeah, I can remember with some of them early mixers, like if anybody used to scratch with them, the ones with the crossfaders, the toggle switches with that worn on them. I think some of our old GM25s, just from flicking them in and in, people forget about these things because crossfaders have been so standard on a mixer for donkey's years now, aren't they, for decades? Oh, yeah. But people forget what these initial setups used to be like, piecing things together, odds and sods from here, there and everywhere, So who were your early heroes and influences, turntablists you admire back in the day? Who were like your big inspirations who got you into it?
Oh wow, so many. Well, from listening to the records before actually seeing DJs cut it up, like Primo, DJ Premier, Pete Rock, the guys from Hijack.
Oh yeah, yes, Supreme.
Yeah, Supreme. Yeah. Oh wow, so many. Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah.
His cuts were nice. There's so many. Like I used to listen to this tape back in the days called Tricks of the Shade, and it was by a band called the Goats, and I used to like the scratching on that too. I can't remember the DJ that was cutting on that album, but yeah, the cuts were really nice on that. And then, later on, I started seeing like videos of like Cutmaster Swift, Cash Money, Aladdin, all them dudes from that era, and then a little bit later, Noise, Rock Raider, the X-Men, Executioners, the Pickles.
Yeah.
Babu and his crew, the Dilated Peoples. So I'd say like they were like early influences, and then, a little bit later, the Scratch Perverts, the Allies, all of them guys from that era, from the late 90s. There was a big change I found in the late 90s with turntablism. It started like really developing a new sound and defining a sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man. So many legends were born in that era.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was later on when I kind of got into it, because I come from more of a rave background. Then, started meeting different people, different musical tastes, and I think it was about 96 or 7. My friend gave me a CD. Because because I didn't really know all that scene at all, or aware of it. Saw the odd bit on MTV, blah blah blah. But, I think it was after Prime Cuts had won. And he did a CD called Hip Hop Don't Stop. I might be getting my years mixed up. It might be 98 that. We'd seen it in Mixmag, and me and my mate, and we thought, oh, that looks alright. We bought it, and oh my god, we played it to death. Not only that, all his mates liked it and everything, like considering we're all into rave music, it was one of them CDs which you could just put on and people were like, what's this? We had friends who were into grunge, who were into it and stuff like that. Everybody wanted a copy of it. We were doing copies on his tape decks and, dishing them out to everyone. And then that kind of got me into it, really. I think it was just after he'd won World Championships, so 97, 98. Maybe.
98 it would have been, yeah, man. Yeah, that was an awesome CD. Same with us. We had that CD, it was on rotation.
He did that, KRS-One beat juggle, didn't he?
Jack of all speeds.
That's it, yeah, man. Yeah, does awesome. It on the CD, really good juggle.
Yeah, man.
So, obviously, you got into battling yourself. First ever battles, what year did you start, really? Or
the first battle I entered was in 1998, and that was at my friend's university. He was studying down Birmingham, and when he come back home up my way, he'd be like, oh yeah, there's this like DJ battle at the university and you can win prizes and money and stuff. And he's like, would you be up for getting involved? I was like, yeah, I'd love to, so I went and stayed with him in his halls of residence, and I entered the battle. That was the first time I did it, and I didn't win or nothing. I just did my thing. I was doing it was like a mixing tricks battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you had like 10 minutes just to do whatever you want. You could play whatever music. So I was doing a load of hip hop stuff and beat juggling and scratching, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. And it was actually in Aston University, so it was in a big, venue, and there was a lot of people there. And yeah, I got the bug from it. From there, I was like, oh, this is great, to perform all the stuff I've been practicing in my room. So that would have been about 1998, and the same year I entered a regional DMC, which was in the Boardwalk in Manchester. Now, I heard about it, obviously I've seen a few DMCs and tapes and ITS at that time. So I heard about the competition from going to like a DJ expo in Manchester in the GMEX, and Cutmaster Swift was there, and another guy called DJ Assassin, and they was like doing, demonstrations, and they opened up the turntables so anyone could jump on. So me and my friends jumped on, and then he was like, okay, DMC's coming to Manchester, sign your name and, we'll send you all the information and all that type of thing. So I was like, yeah, I'm up for that. And a couple of weeks later, you get the letter through, to confirm it. You turn up at the venue, and wow, I was not prepared. How tough it was. You know what I mean? It was like, wow. So there was like, I'm not joking, about 50 people, just 50 hardcore DJs. And you had to do an afternoon elimination, to get through to the nighttime. So you had to do 3 minutes, and they would only take like 8 people through to the final, the nighttime final. And I learned a lot that day. What to do and what not to do, you know what I mean? So I did my thing, I did some beat juggling. And at the time, I only had one Technics turntable and one belt drive turntable. I wasn't used to using 2 Technics, and they had the new mix at the time. So it was the SH, is it EX? The black mixer.
I can't remember the model number. I never had one. But
it's the one with the really sharp cutout and the crossfader, and it looks like really glossy. The mixer, really nice mixer, but the fader wasn't that good, to be honest. But yeah, I wasn't used to any of this kit. You know what I mean? And I did my thing, and I was like, oh my god, people are killing it on the cut, and you know they're doing all these like crazy techniques I'd never seen before in real life, and I was like, oh my god! And also what you had to do, you had to like get on the mic after your set, say who you are, you know, who your crew is, where you're from, how long you've been DJing, whether you're a pro or you just started. And, you know, I was super nervous at the time. I was, oh my God, I've got to speak as well. You know what I mean? This is like, wow, it's really intense. And not one person was saying a thing, you know what I mean? And there was just like all these dudes, you know, no one's speaking, few people smoking weed or whatever, and you know some of the mates are there, and just everyone's just all eyes on whoever's on the decks at the time, and the atmosphere was intense, man. You know what I mean? Oh my god, this isn't like the thing I did in Birmingham. You know what I mean? That was fun, and it, you know, there was a crowd. This is like, you know, serious business, and Cutmaster Swift was hosting it, and you know some of the DMC staff was hosting it too, and it's like, oh my god, this is harsh reality of it, you know what I mean? So that was the first time I did a DMC, and I got nowhere in that competition. That's like, but I come away from it thinking, okay, that's what's expected.
Yeah,
you know,
I have a better idea. I know what.
Yeah, now I know what it's about. You know what I mean? So yeah. That was the first time I did a DMC.
You were competing through the noughties, which were quite a pivotal time because you had systems like DVS creeping in, which were influencing the battling scene. I know Woody mentioned in a previous interview that people were pressing records, even though that you weren't allowed the DVS systems to compete. People were pressing records, you know, through routines they created with Soretto. I mean, that's just one example. What was it like competing in the noughties? Because you've seen a lot of different things. I mean, you were at the, you know, the coalface dealing with these things.
Yeah, well, I started competing in '98, and I went all the way through up until 2018. You know what I mean? I didn't take a year off, so I've seen a lot of changes. The changes I saw from '98 going to like, you know, the early to mid 2000s was, you know, there was trends, people like using original records, so like a lot of people using battle breaks and really rinsing the battle break thing.
I've heard this. Yeah.
And you know, I was guilty of it myself, you know what I mean, because the battle breaks back then were amazing. You know what I mean? They had all the sounds that you wanted to cut, and the beats were crunchy and all of that. And then, like you said, people started using the custom vinyl. You know, I was doing that too. And yeah, I'd say around about the mid 2000s, 2006 is when it became accessible for people to be pressing up their own records. Like I used to press up my routines with a company called The Carvery, which was based in London, and they were great. I was dealing with a guy called Frank, who was running the place, and he was such a nice guy. He'd help me out, you know, he'd help me with the mastering of, you know what I mean, getting the levels right. You know, what I was using Pro Tools at the time, so I'd create my routine in either like Serato, or I was using Mix Vibes at the time, and then I'd chop it all up on Pro Tools and then master it the best I could, send it to Frank, and you know, I'd have a chat with him, and he's like, oh, you need to, like, you know, knock this level down or boost that level or whatever. He was really helpful, and he would press up these records, and they were just on one side when he first started doing them, and they were on these clear vinyl, and they were quite thin, and they were good pressings. And then later on you could press on two sides, you know what I mean, on heavier vinyl. And yeah, it was good doing it that way. I did enjoy that process of it, you know what I mean, because you wasn't limited to just the battle breaks and the records anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you could create whatever and use whatever song, you know what I mean? Like maybe a song that's not available on vinyl, like use a song from a CD, or, you know, like a sample from a movie or whatever, and make your own thing. So that was an interesting time in turntablism, you know, and that went on up until like around about 2010, 2011. Then DMC and IDA and ITF and all that started allowing DJs to use Serato and Tractor and DVS within the competitions. And that changed again. You know what I mean? That era was different because I would say, like, when you're pressing up your own record, you got to commit to it. You know what I mean? But when it's on Serato, you can change it last minute. If you find out someone's in a battle and you want to diss him, you could, like, you know, edit something on Ableton or whatever and you know, find a sample or whatever and incorporate that into your routine and, you know, diss him, or maybe like, you know, name a city where you're doing the competition or whatever. You know what I mean? Or, you know, big up a host or whatever. The world is your oyster type of thing. And it injected a lot of new creativity within the DJ battle world. Then a little bit later, mixers started coming with cue points built in to the mixer, like, you know, the Vestax PMC. Is it the fourth one that they made that had like buttons on it? And the Rain 62 had cue points on it. And then Pioneer brought out the S9 with the 8 cue points on it. You know what I mean? And that changed it up again because people started incorporating cue points within the routines. You know what I mean? Which made it interesting again. So yeah, I saw a lot of changes and I liked it all, but within certain realms of the competition, like, for example, the DJ Battle for Supremacy thing, you could only use vinyl up until I think it was 2015. So you know, you could either press up your own records or use existing records. So it still kept that element of, you know, using records and flipping the records and all of that type of thing.
Yeah, like old
school,
I mean? So, turntablism skill. More, as a reference to that.
It was more true to the art, you know what I mean? So it was good that he had that balance, you know what I mean? And I did used to like competing in the Supremacy for that. Because, I don't know, I love all the technology. You know, I'm into it all, the CDJs, the DVS, all that type of stuff. I love it all. But there's something about having limitations.
Yeah, definitely.
Just 2 records, 2 turntables, you know, a mixer that just has a nice crossfader, nice ups, and just, what can you do with that? You know what I mean? And yeah, I find that fun. And I found myself going back to that, you know, in later years, you know what I mean? I still use the DVS and, you know, CDJs and all that type of thing. But yeah, there's something nice about, you know, just getting a box of records and just, what can you do with them?
Yeah.
How creative can you get with them? You know what I mean? And sometimes it's a little bit more fun because you're not like looking at a computer and, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, you're not doing all the Ableton editing and, you know, that can be fun too, but it's a different process. It's a totally different process. You're just like really connecting with the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, more raw. Yeah. What were the hardest scratching technique you learned?
Oh, wow. Well, in the early days for me, it was the one-click flare. It was like a mystery for a long time, how you do it. You know, all of them type of scratches, you know, the one-click flare, the two-click orbit, the original flare was all like a mad mystery at the time. And when I finally got to grips with it about, like, you know, the theory of like half in the sound, you know, and putting the click in the middle, it really opened up a lot of doors for creativity for me, you know. I found that a hard technique. The Autobahn in 2007, the boomerang combination that Rafik come up with, that puzzled a lot of DJs for a long time. I used to practice and, you know, do a lot of gigs with a guy called Johnny One Move, who was a great DJ, very, you know, talented scratcher. and we'd just, hang out with each other and just cut it up for hours. And we saw the video of Rafik doing this autobahn combo technique, and we just could not figure it out for a long time. And there was even a massive thread on it was on Scratchworks.
I remember that site, DJ.
Yeah, man. And everyone was puzzled. How do you do it? Do you do it with a twiddle? Do you do it with like a pincer technique? What is he actually doing? And when everyone finally worked that out, it's like a 9-sound, scratch. It was like, wow, yeah, that was very, very puzzling for a lot of DJs. I would say that was a very difficult combo to learn. Yeah, them two are probably the most difficult ones. I remember chirps. I found them a little bit difficult. I like doing them slow was okay, but doing them fast and being able to control the speed of them. In the very early days, I found them a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I'd say the flares and the autobahns were the
flares were one of the hardest with me. I kept hearing him for ages. Then I got Kubert's DVD came out in about 2002 or maybe 3. That opened up a lot for me. It was like, oh my god, fairly decent quality video for the time, slowing down the technique, so you weren't looking at some grainy RTF footage or DMC video and trying to analyse it, and it broke it down. It's a hardened flow, isn't it? Because it's completely opposite to everything. It's fader open, close, and so counter to everything you've learnt so far.
Oh yeah, totally. Especially like you're learning the old school scratches like transforms and chops, and you're starting with a fader off and finishing with it open. You know what I mean? But yeah, flaring. Yeah, it was a tough one. It's just like repositioning the clicks, isn't it? You know what I mean? And just timing them right with the rhythm of the record. What you're manipulating. But yeah, once you get them, it does open up a whole lot of.
Are you a regular or your hamster?
Well, I started off with my right hand on the turntable, left hand on the up fader or the line switch. Then re-coordinated myself to do left hand on the turntable, right hand on the fader. Then I re-coordinated myself again to do it hamster. And the reason I did it like that is I had the Technics DMC mixer. And like I said before, the fader was sharp, it was nice, but it didn't last long. Sometimes it will last a couple of days. If you're practicing for 8 hours, you know what I mean? This is back in the days when I could do that, you know what I mean? I'd just go through the faders really quick, and there was an absolute pain in the arse to replace and, you know what I mean, put back together and stuff. So I used to do it regular. Left is left, right is right. And then when the fader would break, what I'd do, I'd switch the channels round, just so I could get my money's worth out of it before I get paid and have to buy another crossfader again. And they were 30 quid a go, you know what I mean? It wasn't cheap. So from doing that, I was like, actually, this hamster reverse style feels better, feels more natural to me on the fader, especially like doing, chirps and transforms and that type of thing, and crabs and that, like, it just feels more natural to me. And then I just stuck with it. And, with juggling and everything, even when I mix now, I like it, the fader to be in hamster, not the up faders, because it gets a little bit confusing when, the left up fader is on the right deck and that, you know what I mean? I've seen people use that for an advantage or whatever, but for me, I just like the crossfader reverse. I can do certain scratches regular on both sides, but for me, I flow better with the fader.
I'm regular myself, but I remember seeing an interview with Tony Vegas years ago, and he was saying it opens up a lot of new possibilities and stuff like that. Especially like you say, your twiddles and your flares, you can bounce them against the side, so you can get that kind of really fast flare sound quite easy, aren't you? Which is a bit harder to do when you're regular. I've never bothered with Amster style. I just, I was too long in the tooth with regular before I even realised can I offer some advantages.
Yeah, man. I think like with the hamster style, it can be good for flirting, but for doing like transforms and chops using your thumb more, you know what I mean? So it's harder for that.
A bit slower.
But it's just horses for courses, you know what I mean? Some things will work better regular, some things will work better in reverse. But I just found when I discovered, the reverse style, I was like, actually, this is for me. This,
it fits,
you know what I mean? It's when I first started really developing my sound and, really getting into it.
Cool. So go on. Obviously, you've done your battle. Who were some of the most toughest or memorable opponents you faced?
I know.
You've been doing it a long time, haven't you? So.
Yeah, well, like doing the 6 minute is very different from doing the head-to-head because I used to do both. You know what I mean? So the classic 6 minute DMC where everyone just does 6 minutes. And, they pick an overall winner. That is always a tough battle. So, I've competed against a lot of, high-level DJs within that competition. Sometimes I've won, sometimes I've not. The head-to-head, where, you're doing it like a tournament style, I've had some really tough ones with that. I remember battling Eric J from Brazil. And that guy's sick. He can scratch on both sides. He's really good juggler. He was a tough battle. That was in Supremacy DMC 2014. That was a tough battle. A guy from Japan in 2009. I remember him being tough. Oh man, there's so many. Yeah, so many. Battled a lot of people. The thing is, when you're doing the tournament style battles, you never know who you're going to be up against because you could get knocked out in round 2 or they could get knocked, there might be a favorite that could get knocked out really early in the competition. Or there might be someone that, is an underdog. You don't know anything about them and they might be killing it. It's like, oh, right. You might have to battle that DJ, you know what I mean? So, doing the Supremacy head-to-head tournament ITF style battles was tough, man, and you had to be very strategic with your battles. But I had a lot of hard opponents along the way.
You do visual mixing as well, so what do you use for that? What's your approach and style to it? I've seen your Alan Partridge scratch when I was doing the research for this interview. A good scratch that. I'm an Alan Partridge fan, so it went down well with itself.
I started doing the visual thing about a couple of years ago, a little bit before all the COVID thing happened. I was doing it for a venue that I was working for, and they were like, can you put together a Christmas show? We want visuals, and can you like put Christmas songs with hip hop? I'm like, wow, okay, that sounds like fun. I've got Serato video, why not? You know what I mean? Thanks for the opportunity. I'll have a go at that. So I put this show together. They asked me in the August, and by October, I was sick of Christmas. I was done with it. Gonna watch that much, Christmas movies and all of that type of thing. Because there's a lot of work when it comes to making these AV sets. You know what I mean? You've got to watch a lot of footage, and you've got to be good at Final Cut or Premiere. chopping up the footage and marrying it to images. So that was a good project for me to really get into it. I had a little dabble of it before, but I never been booked to play something, with AV. So from that, I did a couple of Christmas shows or whatever. And then I started, after COVID, I started doing a few other venues and they had screens and that. So I was like, I'll be up for doing some AV shows if you're up for it. You may as well, take advantage of a big screen in the venue. And I've done a few interesting projects. I've done a Halloween show where it's like all dedicated to like music that's been in, horror movies, and, chopped up a load of, Freddy Krueger and, Jason and Exorcist and all this type of stuff, and, use like various hip hop records and, horrorcore records and all that type of stuff. I've done a peep show video set where I'm cutting up the clips on Peep Show over hip hop beats.
Classic comedy. I love Peep Show.
Fun. And I'm a fan of these things. You know what I mean, as well. So it was great. That was a good one. And the other week I did the Alan Partridge thing, and that was for a charity. It was a charity gig, and they basically did a Alan Partridge quiz. And in between the quiz, they wanted like loads of clips with music, you know what I mean? And, I got asked to do it. I didn't get much time to do it. I wish they'd give me more time, but I was like, okay, right, this is my assignment. Let's just do it, you know what I mean? And I've done a few hip hop ones. I played alongside DJ Woody. He did his Hip Hop 50. We both played at the same on the same venue, and I did a hip hop thing. And sometimes, if we're playing a venue and they have a screen, I can do it where I'm just DJing, and I've got, quite a big arsenal of clips now that I can just like do on the fly. So I can play any song and just marry any clip to the song. You know what I mean? There's a function in Serato that allows you to do that. So my approach is gather as many clips as I can for different scenarios, just stuff that I remember from watching on TV or films, chop up the little clips and, just have them in a folder. And if I get like a project or whatever, something very specific like Alan Partridge, I'll go out and source all the clips and, edit it and chop it to music. And sometimes I'll edit it to the music and leave out gaps so I can scratch in, certain little phrases or whatever, you know what I mean? So, I find it a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, though. I can see why a lot of DJs don't do it. And it's a very niche thing as well. Not a lot of venues cater for it. Like, I've seen DJ Woody do his thing and DJ Yoda do his thing. There's another guy from Holland. What's his name? DJ Irie. He does a really good AV show, and I'd say like them guys, they're the masters of it, you know what I mean? So I'm watching them, but I don't want to watch them too much because I just want to do my own thing and not really copy them, you know what I mean? But much respect to all them guys. They're like the masters of it, and they've been doing it a long time. I find it a lot of fun, man. You know what I mean? It's a good thing to get into.
Myself, more generative stuff though for doing the videos. Bought a couple of video synthesizers and stuff like that, so I'm like messing with them. It's still early doors yet. I'm still trying to get my head around everything, but it's like I say, it's a new challenge, isn't it? You've got to keep these things keep it interesting, aren't you? Good motivator. So what's your favourite DJ tech at the minute? I know you said previously you've gone back to liking vinyl. I saw you playing 7-inch Golden Line the other week. What's your preferred thing these days?
Depends on the scenario. If I'm just playing a vinyl set, 2 good turntables in good nick. With a sturdy table.
That's the killer.
Not a table rocking everywhere. I like just a Pioneer DJ 900 Nexus 2 mixer does the job for me. You know what I mean? If I'm doing a Serato set, sometimes I use a phase.
Yeah, I've got some. I love them. Really, they'd be really good for me.
They can be handy, because sometimes when you're plugging in turntables into a Serato mixer, depending on the venue and the state of the turntable, sometimes they don't always communicate with Serato very well. If I'm doing a Serato set, something like a Rain 70 or a Pioneer S9 or something like that. Sometimes I like using Rain 12s. They're good controllers. I'm open to using CDJs. Sometimes I turn up to a gig, depending on the gig. I play all kinds of music. I got booked to do a drum and bass thing not too long ago, and I didn't want to be that guy that I've got to switch my surround. Everyone's using CDJs, so I just brought my little pen drive, popped it in, and just played a few tunes on it, and it was easy. You know what I mean? No hassle with changing over wires. So for certain scenarios, I don't mind that. And when I'm doing my video set, I like to use a Rain controller, the Rain 4 controller, with my laptop, and that does everything I need. You know what I mean? The platters are non-moving, but it's okay. You know what I mean? It does everything I need, and I have the instant access to the stems as well. So I'm open to all kinds of
Apple or Windows.
I'm an Apple DJ. Yeah, I did try Windows years ago when I used to use Mixed Vibes, but it used to give me a headache sometimes with interference and all kinds of mad stuff that comes with Windows. You know what I mean? I know people are Windows users, and they make it work for them, and they optimize the computer and make it work really well. But for me, I just want to turn it to work and just put it. You know what I mean? So the Apple.
I'm a Windows user myself. I've been using ThinkPad laptops, and they've been pretty rock solid. Old second-hand ones, really good. I'm just hoping it's good enough for the next visual set I'm going to do, but otherwise it's going to be a bloody upgrade.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap. You do need a good computer for the visual. I found, especially with this new update within Serato, where you're using stems and that, you need, for the Mac, you need something with an M1 chip or higher, or it's just going to struggle. I had a 2015 Apple laptop, and that was really struggling. You know what I mean? And then, got one with an M1 chip, and that works fine with the video and the stems.
Yeah, I've heard Serato videos a lot better on Mac. There's another package you can get created by a third-party developer as well, which is only available for Mac regarding video. Gives you a lot more options. I can't remember the name of it now. That's been one reason for me maybe to switch in the future. But anyway, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. You've worked with various bands. Were you the DJ? Were you involved in production? Gear used. What were that like?
Yeah. Over the years, I've been involved with lots of projects and rappers. I was in a band from 1999 to about mid 2000s, and that was the Shakti. So there was myself, Mac of all trades, Ash, Philly Wiz, and Charlene Squire. That was the core members. So there was 3 rappers, a singer, and myself DJing. The Mac of all trades would play multiple instruments, and he would do most of the production. But I'd have a hand in the production as well. Mac got a Pro Tools setup, and this is year 2000.
So, that must have cost a lot of money.
It was state of the art at the time. You know what I mean? So he learned to use that really, really quickly, and we'd go round to his flat in Liverpool, and we'd jam at his flat and come up with ideas. And I bring records round. Maybe if we sample that, so I did have some input in some of that, some input in the arrangements and stuff. And obviously with the scratches, composing the scratches on the tracks, and that we pressed up a few records actually. Then I got a Pro Tools set up myself around about 2004. But before that, I had an SU-10 sampler, which was really, really basic.
Which manufacturer made them? SU. Right, I've never heard of them.
This tiny sampler, it even took batteries. I got that around about 98, and it was so basic. It didn't even have a sequence on it. You know what I mean? You had to buy to separate. So you'd have to like do everything live, record it to, you know, your cassette or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was using that. I got an MPC 2000 XL in the, what about the early to mid 2000s, 2005, 2006, that era. And I started using that, I learned that. And so I made a few beats on that with some like, you know, I passed the beats on to like rappers like Jambon or the guys out the Punning Clan. And yeah, sometimes I just do scratches for these people, you know what I mean? And yeah, I used to have a lot of fun working alongside rappers and bands. I'm still in a band now. I'm in a band called The Incredible 11. And basically it's just a collective of musicians. We do covers of like R&B and rap songs, you know, and we just have fun. We don't take ourselves seriously. There's 11 of us and we just have fun. We don't do loads of gigs. We just do the odd gig out here and there every now and again. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I've been in other bands, like, you know, original bands, you know, like proper bands with musicians, not just rapping and beats and stuff. I was in a band called the Elementals, and we've made our own style and our own music, and you know, and that was a lot of fun. And there was like 15 of us at one point. It was just so hard to get jams or, you know, organized and yeah, getting everyone together. It's
coordinating like 15
cats,
people.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine.
But we did some great gigs. You did that for about 5 years or something, you know, on and off, and and everyone's cool. You know, there were no like fall drama or anything. It was good. It just naturally ended. You know what I mean? Which was a shame because we recorded an album, and that was after we recorded the album. It just everyone kind of like dispersed. People started moving to different cities or different countries.
Yeah,
or
real
whatever,
life
you know
starts to, you know, everybody goes their own.
Yeah, man. People started having families. And, you know what I mean? And it was what it was. But yeah, that was fun. I did a project for the Symphonica Orchestra one time. So I was filling in for a DJ called Mr. Switch. And he asked me to fill in at one of his gigs. And he was doing a festival. It was like down south. And he was like doing all this music, you know, it was like all covers, but like done with a proper orchestra. And it was, you know, it was a big role to take, you know, but I had a lot of fun doing that. I'd like to do that again at some point. But yeah, he trained me, you know, the different parts and when to cut in and cut out. And I had you know, this practice session with this orchestra, and wow, it was a little bit intimidating actually. You know what I mean? It's like,
I knew a sound engineer, and he said the most intimidating who has a PA company, and he said the most he's done bands, you know, big bands, small bands. He's been in business for 20 odd years, and he said the most intimidating thing he ever did was working with an orchestra. He said it were, you know, it said squeaky bum time. He said it was just one of the hardest things he's done.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like, because they're taking it from a totally different approach. They're all using sheet music. You know, DJ, you're doing it by ear or writing stuff down. It's a totally different thing. And you know, the gig come off really good. It was a lot of fun. I remember going to that rehearsal. It was in Northampton, the rehearsal. And you know, I think I messed up one of the things in the rehearsal. I remember all these like string players just looking at me like, you're gonna get it right. And I was like, okay. You know, but yeah, it was fun. You know, it come together in the end, and I was like, wow, that was good. But yeah, it's totally different beast,
he said something similar. And he were only managing the sound and putting it through and doing a PA, but he said it was one of the hardest things he's ever done. So obviously you played all over the world. What's been some of your favourite gigs you've played, band or solo? Any good stories?
Oh, wow.
Again, it's a pretty open question.
Very grateful.
Considering.
Yeah, wow. I'm very grateful to have, you know, had a lot of good opportunities, you know, DJing in different countries and different scenarios. Oh, man, it's so hard to pinpoint one, but a couple of gigs that stand out for me is one of them would be warming up for Jazzy Jeff in Birmingham at the NEC. That was a really good gig. It was at a it was at a BPM show, so it was a lot of DJ manufacturers, and I warmed up for Jazzy Jeff, and I got to meet him very briefly, and he, you know, he's such a nice guy. It's like, you know, meeting one of your heroes and that, and he was cool as well. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't arrogant or anything like that. He was a really nice dude, and you know, then I got to watch what he did. It was an absolute honor. Another highlight, in fact, this is an amazing thing. I was in Washington, DC, judging a DMC comp, and I was playing some tunes, and I was doing a showcase. And as I'm playing some tunes, a guy walks in, and everyone's looking who's just walked in, and it's Biz Markie, the rapper. And I didn't know he was going to be there. And he just come on, and, you know, he led on to me while I'm playing some funk, you know, just warming up the crowd or whatever, ready for this DJ battle. And he gets on the mic, and he's like, "Can I have a go of the decks?" So we start going back and forward, because he DJs too. And then he gets on the mic, and we're just having banter, man. And that was a magical moment, you know, spur the moment thing. Wasn't planned, wasn't rehearsed. And to meet Biz Markie, I was a massive fan of his music and that. And to have a laugh with him, and, you know, for him to like be saying, "Oh, you know, cut it up, Rasp," and he called me Raspy and all of this type of stuff. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, rest in peace, Biz Markie.
You're not sampling saying your name?
I've got it on YouTube, actually. Someone filmed it and passed me the footage, and I'm so grateful that they did. It was in 2019. I should sample a battle
record.
Yeah, check it out on YouTube. Yeah, man. Yeah, Raspy. Yeah, he was a cool guy. You know, obviously, like, traveling to different countries. You know, I did a Chinese tour in 2018. That was a massive honor. You know, I did like 7 cities in 10 days, and I've never toured like that before. I've been to different countries or whatever, but I've never actually done a tour where I'm on planes, or sometimes 2 planes going to gigs, because I didn't realize how big China is. You know what I mean? It's a huge place. You're not driving to the next city. You need to get a plane or get 2 planes to the next city or whatever. And that was a lot of fun. Big up DSK for sorting that out. DSK and Alex, I really appreciate that. And, you know, just like doing, putting on jams and competitions, and, you know, there's so many, man, so many. I'm blessed. I really am. You know what I mean? And I hope to continue to do this. You know.
Are you putting on anything at the minute? Any new gigs on the horizon? Anything planned in the future?
I've got a gig in Manchester at the Hip Hop Chip Shop. It's called Working on It. That's the event. And basically, it's an event where producers turn up and, you know, they just rock whatever, you know. So if you use an MPC or whatever, for that gig, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use a loop pedal, a Boss RC 202 loop pedal, a turntable, a 909 mixer, and a bunch of records. And yeah, I've been working on a little set for that. That's in March. I've got another gig coming up in Manchester as well, with Live from the Groove, where I'm going to be doing a lot of Turntablist stuff. And yeah, just see what happens, you know what I mean? I'm open for doing gigs. I was considering putting on my own event again. I used to put on like DJ comps and scratch events. So I might put something on, later on in the year. I'll see how things are. And it all depends on budget. You know, these things cost money, and, you know, it's getting the right venue and all that. But yeah, I might put a slice and dice thing on again. And
Yeah. If
watch his
people want to
space.
find out about these things, what's the best way to? Have you got a mailing list, Instagram? Yeah, I'll leave a link
Instagram.
below this video as well for anyone who's interested in following you. So, any new releases coming out? Working on any new music material?
Yeah, actually, I have got a new release out. Excuse me. So, I've just pressed up this record. It's called Cycles of Hope. It's got 2 tracks on one side, 2 lo-fi instrumental tracks, and on the other side, it is a battle break, a skipless battle break. There's only 100 of these pressed up, so it's super limited. If you want one, send me a DM on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I'll put you up. The artwork is by DJ Woody. Big up DJ Woody. He's done a nice job on that.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, check it out. There's going to be a video coming out soon that I'm going to put on YouTube, maybe on Blade's channel or, on my own channel. It'll be available on Spotify and all of that type of thing, later on. I don't really agree with Spotify and all that stuff, but, you got to play the game, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I will make it available on that format soon. But yeah, right now it's only available, on vinyl. So if you want one, send me a DM.
So, as well as you're a DJing teacher, aren't you? You're DJ for Digital DJing Tips and Manchester School of Music. How can people get tutelage from you, and what can they expect?
Yeah, well, most of the time now I do it for SEM, School of Electronic Music in Manchester. Yeah, just get in touch with the school. I do tutorials. I teach classes. Sometimes I do one-on-ones, depending on what you want to learn. There's a whole host of other tutors that have different specialities and that, like, and yeah, just get in touch with SEM. I've been doing that since 2012, so yeah, quite a long time now. But yeah, I find it fun. It's good. You're passing on your knowledge to other people that want to learn different things about DJing and that.
Advice for any new DJs who wanted to get started scratching, what would you say to them?
Learn the basics. Learn the baby scratch. Really get your baby scratch down. The hand controlling, the hand control is super important on the vinyl. Learn your chops, your chirps. Try it over different, tempos, different styles of music. Don't just get stuck in, just scratch over 85 BPM and nothing else. You know what I mean? Try other styles of music, and it's fun as well, opening up to different genres and that. And if you're learning it, try it with both hands. Try it hamster style. Try it with your right hand on the deck, your left hand on the deck, because you might think, okay, I'm stronger that side, or I could do patterns this side. You know what I mean? Unless you're born ambidextrous, you're always going to have to train one of your hands up, to be a bit stronger. So if you're right-handed, you're going to have to train your left hand up on the fader or the record or whatever. But yeah, be open-minded. Be open-minded to, like, different styles of music and scratching over different, even like different time signatures and that type of thing. You know what I mean? That can really help. Watch some of the old school DJs as well, because you can pretty much, all the old school patterns like the chirps and transforms and, drills and turs and all that. You're making sounds, and you can apply that to anything. You know what I mean? All your crabs, your flares, your boomerangs, all that type of stuff, that'll come later, But yeah,
I mean, it's so good now that these days, because you've got YouTube and you've got such a wealth of scratching records on YouTube, and even people who break them down as well, and you can slow the videos down. I mean, it's a good time to get your head around the basics now. I mean, whereas like back in our day, and especially yours, it were some grainy VHS footage, weren't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Or you just experiment just by ear. You know what I mean? Like when I first started scratching, I just used to do it on a hi-fi system. I didn't even have decks. I would just like put a record on and, oh yeah, well, what's this? You know what I mean? It's just, out of curiosity and experimentation. You know what I mean? But yeah, now you can see everything broken down and probably learn a lot quicker now. But I don't know. Will that take the fun out of it? I don't know. Because there's something about using your imagination as well. That's how a lot of these scratch things did
as well,
develop.
And creating your own thing. I said this with Woody. I tried imitating his woodpecker scratch, and I've got my own thing of it. And I saw what he did it wrong, but eventually with practicing that, it's kind of done my own thing. I don't know. Like I say, you create your own scratch. Whereas if like today, if you could really precisely see what that person was doing, it's just a carbon copy. While you're making it your own thing sometimes, even if you did, you've tried, you've done it wrong, but you've made it your own, haven't you? It's like sometimes not trying to be exactly like the next DJ isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's what I always think. So yeah. Also, what's any hobbies outside of DJing? What else are you into?
I'm a bit of a nerd. I like video games, old school video games. Nintendo and Super Nintendo arcade games, old school arcade games.
I can see all the G.I. Joe superhero figures.
Yeah, I like all that type of stuff. I like TV shows and movies, and
I'm a cinemaphile myself. Like love old cinema. Oh, just got a projector other month. Yeah, love it. Just painted my wall, took all blemishes out of it now, and we're watching The Good, the Bad, the Ugly other week on it. It was fantastic. Yeah, Eric McCall, that score as well is brilliant. It's a really good film. Oh, and seeing them big vistas, like those American vistas, like the old cinema's brilliant like that. Oh, cool. So, how can people find and follow you? Instagram, obviously. Anywhere else?
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, I'm active on that. YouTube.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go on Facebook.
And as for getting lessons from you, it's not Manchester MIDI School, it's
School of Electronic Music now. It used to be called Manchester MIDI School. When I started working there, it was called that. But yeah, just get in touch with them and, they'll put you up,
so
what I mean?
Close this, because like I say, it's nearly getting on to the length of a film is this interview now. So thank you, Rasp. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time. Yeah, if you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe it. There's a podcast link below this as well. Again, just subscribe if you want to hear more of these videos.